Still on education, and the education CS Julius Migos Ogamba has told the National Assembly that 10 secondary schools have been closed for lack of students following the conclusion of the capitation verification exercise for secondary schools. The verification exercise is ongoing for 934 junior secondary and primary schools which have received 50% of the capitation funds based on Nemis registration.
Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos Ogamba on Wednesday found himself on the receiving end of salvos from members of parliament over the late release of capitation funds due to an ongoing verification exercise.
The Office of the Auditor General reported that some of the schools that had received capitation from the Ministry of Education were non-existent.
Migos reporting to the House that following the conclusion of the capitation verification exercise for secondary schools, 10 institutions had been closed due to lack of learners.
And I've done a list there: Kiria Secondary School in Nyandarua, Dr. Mashage Maheto in Migori, Ragia Forest High School in Kiambu, Muwandi Mixed School in Kirinyaga, Friends Bulovi in Kakamega, Luiwat High School in Baringo, Ngamba School in Muranga, Sintankara Secondary School in Narok, Majmazuri Mixed Secondary School in Baringo, and Father Leo Staples Girls in West Pokot.
Ogamba telling members of the National Assembly that the verification exercise for 934 junior secondary and primary schools was still ongoing, but that the schools had received 50% capitation based on Nemis registration. Members of Parliament, however, called for the interdiction of ministry officials following the revelation that 10 secondary schools found to not have students had presumably been receiving capitation funds.
They must be knowing the accounts. They must be knowing the signatories. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Health recently came in and did arrest those people who have been stealing sham money.
Ogamba telling the MPs that the EACC is seized of the Auditor General's report that triggered the verification exercise in the first place.
When we asked the teachers why the schools closed, they said there were no students. So now we have to go back on the records and find out previously has money been released to these schools so that we can determine whether there is fraud or not. What the Auditor General did, which was sampling, because it was a forensic audit, that data is already with EACC and they're already undertaking that exercise.
Ogamba was, however, hard-pressed to interdict ministry officials implicated following the verification exercise.
You have officers of your ministry in each and every county who have a duty to keep and update records of schools continuously and furnish to your ministry. That public resources have been wired to non-existent schools for non-existent students. How many of your officers have you interdicted for doing this criminal act?
According to Ogamba, 10 billion shillings has been disbursed to free-day secondary schools, 5.1 billion shillings to free-day junior schools, 1.7 billion for free primary education, for a total of 16.5 billion shillings disbursed.
The undisbursed amount from that verification exercise to date stands at 1.2 billion.
Olive Burrows, Citizen TV.